basically, I really want to meet Sarah J. Maas, but like I'm going away on the day that she comes to Toronto. So yeah, if anyone can like ask her to just come to my door and punch me in the face, that'd be really nice. Thanks. Hi everyone, it's Liliana, and today I'm going to be doing an ACOMAF review. This is my first ever review. I mean, I like scream about this book all day, but like it's my first ever review, so this is probably going to go really shit and like my existence, yeah. So I'm going to be looking through, obviously, like the book because I have some of my tabs to discuss, and I also have a huge list on my phone, so I'll be looking at both, like sometimes holding it up, sometimes just reading it, you know. I waited quite a long time to read this because I bought A Court of Thorns and Roses like in January or December or something, and then it is May, so it's been like 5 months, so I fully just like did not read this until it came out in paperback, but I'm gonna review it. This is gonna be very rambly, but I'm gonna try to like get my points out. Yeah, I don't know. I guess let's get started. If you haven't read A Court of Thorns and Roses, I'm sorry, but unless you want like spoilers as fuck, then just bye. Sorry. I can't really give anything to ya if you haven't read it yet, but if you've read that, I can kind of do a non-spoilery thing for this. So basically, they go back to the Spring Court, her and Feyre and Tamlin, after Under the Mountain, this very dramatic ending, and they go back to the Spring Court, and then like, you know, she's really, I don't know what you would call it, she's really like broken from everything that happened and having to like kill those Fae at the end, so she's just going through a lot, and Tamlin's kind of like, like he's, you know, he's meh, he's not really giving a shit, and then basically Rhys comes to collect the bargain, and you know, shit goes down from there. I've said shit like 5 times already. Lots of stuff, lots of night court, lots of everything, cause yeah, I don't know, it's not a spoiler, pretty much everyone knows this is all about Rhys and okay, good stuff. Alright, now to get to the spoilery section. So I didn't have too much non-spoiler because I don't know what to say, but basically, I'm just going to be going through this pretty in-depth, like I'm going to be reading actual quotes that I really loved, I'm going to be talking about the characters, like it's none of this like random thought pops to my mind, I'm just going to talk about it, like it's actually laid out. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy my review, and leave a comment on stuff you agreed with, stuff you didn't agree with. You know, let's do this. So the first thing I want to talk about is how I honestly did not like reading the beginning part at all. Like, obviously, I loved starting this book because I was just so excited, but the beginning is so Tamlin-y, and I just, what? Like, there's literally a sex scene with Tamlin and Feyre, and I'm just like, cringing because I knew that it was not going to be, like, her and Tamlin in the end. Or, well, I guess it technically is, but, you know, like, I knew it wasn't, because everyone talks about Rhys and how, like, amazing he is, so I was just, like, cringing hard when they were, like, loving each other still. I was like, no, thank you, goodbye, Tamlin. The very first tab in my book, which is right here, is when, Rhys comes to the wedding, when she's, like, panicking and, like, wanting to not go through with the wedding, and he gets there and he's like, hello, Feyre darling. I was just like, whoo, I already knew my heart was going to like come out of my ass, okay? I just knew that my religion and my sexual orientation and my whole entire life would be based on him just saying Feyre darling. I was like, boy, there's nothing left of me already. And this is page 42. And I know a lot of people know that because I've literally seen a shirt that says, hello, Feyre darling, and I was like, where's mine? I need that. I'm so glad she put him, like, saying that throughout the book because that's just amazing. Yeah, so then after he, like, takes her from the wedding, obviously, they go to the night court, and then I just love how he's, like, kind of an ass, but like also saying the perfect things, and like she doesn't realize that because she just like has this hate towards him, but he really did save her like by hearing her through the bond, and like I loved how that was like a thing that he could hear her enough that when she was like, please, I like do not want to marry this dude, that he just like swooped in and was like, Feyre darling, I am here to get you. I'm here to save your ass. But no, I was just really happy that he got there, and he was like, oh, like, I'm not gonna get a thank you, and she's like, what do you mean, like, I didn't want to leave that wedding, and he's like, girl, yes you did want to leave that wedding. You were begging anyone to help you, and I came and saved you. And then, of course, she throws the shoe at his head, and that's, like, so funny, because he, like, doesn't even see it coming, and it just, like, hits him off the back of the head, and then he, like, walks off, and Moore's like, so that went well. And I just love that, too, because then we learn later how Moore, like, already knew they were mates, so, like, she was, I guess, like, rooting for him as well for it to, like, go well, but it's just funny because she threw a shoe at his head, so, yeah. I just liked that. I thought that was funny, and I liked the first introduction to Moore, even though we didn't know who she was at all. So, the first face hand that we really get is him saying, okay, so what I want from you is you're going to learn to read, and you're going to learn to, like, shield your brain, because I can hear everything that you think at all times, and girl, you need to shield that stuff. So, yeah, I just really liked it. I thought it was kind of, like, obvious that he would give her sentences like, Rhysand is so delicious, or whatever the heck he said, but it was still really cute. I liked that he was, like, helping her, but then also being, like, kind of flirty-ish. I liked the shielding. I just like that in general. I really like that aspect of it. Like, when they would talk later in the book, and she's like, I left my shield down enough to, like, say something to him, and him to say something back. I just really liked that. I liked that magical part, because it makes me wish I had that in real life, and I could just, like, converse to someone through a bond, or through, like, being a daemati, or however you say that. I don't know. Uh-oh. It's 2:47. I think people are home. Okay, so I probably left the clip in from the last video, but basically someone walked into my house, like my family got home, whatever, and I just didn't want to film with background noise. I just am doing this the next morning, and yeah, so that's why half of this video or so looks different than this half of the video. So let's continue. So after what I wrote down about Rhys teaching her to read and shield, I wrote down a quote from here that I really liked when basically they were arguing about her still, like, loving Tamlin or something like that. Oh yeah, so basically she was kind of saying, like, he's my high lord, like, whatever, saying that she's, like, kind of belongs to him in a way, but, like, without saying that. And so he says, I don't believe for one damn minute that you're remotely fine with being a pretty trophy for someone who sat on his ass for nearly 50 years. And I was just like, you go, Rhys, you tell her. Because, like, she knows that, and she, like, was complaining, like, in her head or whatever, that she didn't like the dresses and the parties and all that, but she still, like, wanted to say, like, he's my high lord, like, whatever. But Rhys was just like, no, you're not just a trophy, like, you're more than that. And I liked it. So, another part that I really liked, that Rhys was kind of, like, pointing stuff out or whatever, I don't know how to describe that, was the time where she was, like, sitting reading on, like, the porch or the balcony or wherever it was, the roof, I don't know, something like that. She was sitting reading, and Rhys came up to her with food, and they were gonna eat, but then instead of giving her the food, he kind of, like, tried to get her to, like, open up, but, like, I don't know, I think he was purposely trying to annoy her. He wasn't just like, talk to me. He was like, don't let Amarantha win, like, if you're sad, she wins. So Feyre got mad at him for trying to, like, pry, and basically just her power started coming through because she was so annoyed with him. And then afterward, you could tell that Rhys did it on purpose just to make her feel something, because she's like, oh, it gets better that I felt anger than felt empty and nothing at all. So yeah, really like that part. I like that we could see small glimpses of Rhys, like, caring about her well-being. So the next part is when Tamlin locks her in the house, and everyone at this point is definitely like, Tamlin, what the fuck are you doing? You're dumb, like, boy, this girl does not want to be locked in the house. She just wants to get out, and she's not a little doll or something. Like, she's not just gonna be, like, playing house while you're gone, okay? So, basically he locks her in. She gets so, like, traumatized by it that she turns, like, the darkness around her and, like, all the power, and she's just sitting in, like, a ball of darkness. And then Moore comes in and saves her, and then, of course, she, like, gets into Rhys's arms, and I'm like, Valeris time. So, the next part is when she first goes to the townhouse after they save her. She said, decided that perhaps the spring court might not be my home. And I was like, boy, yes, you know. I was just finally like, girl, you... I mean, it was only like this much pages in, but still, I was like, you are realizing that you don't belong there, and that is great. So yeah. This part on page 149 that I liked is basically when he says he's the most powerful High Lord in Prithian's history, and like, I don't know, it was just a small line or whatever, but I just really like that he is the most powerful High Lord because he's still like a little buttercup, and he is just so lovely, and like Feyre's not scared of him, and like that's mentioned too, but yeah, I just like how he's like the most powerful, but then Feyre's still his match, and they like are both the most powerful. And then on the same page, they're like talking about it. She was saying basically like she was waiting for fear to come, like hearing about Rhys being powerful and Amren being powerful, but she wasn't afraid. So she just said maybe it'd be a mercy to be ended. And then he like grabs her face. He's like, don't you ever think that, not for one damned moment. And I was like, I just thought it was so cute. Like, it was sad because she was thinking about like being killed or whatever, but the fact that he just like grabbed her and was like, don't think that, I just loved it. And I was like... So the next part, I'm just going to mention really quickly, the part where he wakes her up from the nightmare, and she just is like, whatever, burning and stuff because of being scared in the nightmare, and then she runs to the bathroom and throws up, and he like holds her hair back. I just really thought that was, you know, some of the starting points of their relationship, him like helping her so much, and I just thought it was so cute that he like woke her up and held her hair back and all that. So yeah, that's just the part that I liked. The next parts that are like, it's the height of some of this book. I mean, it's like spread throughout, like there's a lot of action and stuff, but the parts that are kind of in the middle are the bone carver and the weaver. I really liked the bone carver part because like it was really spooky, but it was a cool like part of this book, and he was a cool character, or it was a cool character, just because the fact that like he appears differently to everyone. That's an interesting concept to me. I don't read a lot of fantasy, you can probably tell, but I just liked it because Feyre was still scared, and like she admitted that she was scared, but to her he was like an 8-year-old boy with dark hair, blue eyes. I don't know, I kind of like that because she was scared, but he looked a lot less scary than he could have. And then to Rhys, when he like admitted what he saw Jurian, and I was like, boy, that's weird. Because like I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't necessarily expecting him to like appear as that and like show that he knew what they were coming to ask about. I don't know. Pretty cool in my opinion. So the next part, the Weaver, I really liked because she obviously finally mastered her panic, which is what Rhys wanted her to do, but then also we like figure out why she was getting the ring later, and I really like that. I don't know, yeah, I'll talk about it like later when he says the whole story, but I just liked that she threw a brick at the Weaver's face, because then when she told everyone was just like, girl. On this page, before she goes to the Weaver, Feyre's like, so I'm your huntress and thief, and he just like holds her and he's just like, you are my salvation, Feyre. And I was like, whew! I just love that. I just love that a lot. So yeah, Weaver, Bone Carver, pretty cool, pretty scary, you know, had me on the edge of my seat. I think I'm just going to edit in the part where I talk about Ianthe, because I really liked what I said in the other video. I think I portrayed how much I dislike her. But yeah, basically, he shows her part of his mind, and it's the memory of Ianthe, and Feyre's just, like, you know, going through the memory, and she's just trying to seduce Rhys and, like, be ugly and disgusting. And he's just like, no, get the fuck out of my court, you dumb bitch. And just, like, breaks her hand or something, and she leaves. So, yeah, I really like that. I hate her. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. You know what? She can just die right now. She can die. And then, after that kind of part, they all go to Feyre's old home, and everyone's meeting Nesta and Elaine. And, I don't know. I liked it, but obviously the sisters were kind of like bitchy, and I just liked how Cassian and Rhysand stood up for Feyre, and we're like, they don't get to do that when they never protected you and whatever. I just really liked that. And, you know, I liked the Cassian and Nesta kind of bickering. You can tell there's something, well, something. I mean, I hope. I don't know. But I think so. The next part is when Rhys leaves Feyre in the forest to practice, like, her powers. Like, she's supposed to, I think, light a candle or something like that. And basically, he was actually, like, getting her to be alone to see, like, the first person that would come try to take her or attack her or whatever. And it's the Ator. That was an interesting part because they had the really cute, flirty letters back and forth that I liked. It had, you know, seeing more of the Ator and, like, what she would do. But she kind of, like, gives up. So then the next part is the quote that I really like when he's gonna take her and she kind of just, like, oh, shit, I guess I'm being taken by this thing that scares me in my nightmares all the time. And Rhys says, "You forgot that strength, and that you can burn and become darkness and grow claws. You forgot. You stopped fighting." And I was like, oh my gosh, how much more can my heart take? Okay, I really liked that Rhys was, like, telling her, you're forgetting, like, you're so powerful. Like, unlike how Tamlin was basically like, you don't have any powers, like, you just wear dresses, you're my object. And then Rhys is over here like, you are so strong. And I'm just like... And then Feyre gets mad and, like, ends up winnowing because she's mad at him. But, like, she kind of realizes, like, yeah, I did forget. Like, I need to master these powers. I need to fight, kind of thing. So, yeah, I just really liked that a lot. After all that, they kind of get to a part where Feyre's giving the amulet back to Amren because they already went to the Bone Carver. And she gives back the amulet, and Mor's like, oh, like, you're giving this back? And she's like, yeah, you wanted it back, like, thanks for helping me. And Amren's like, oh, lol, no, it was fake, it's just jewelry. And so it's kind of funny because Feyre's like, what to heck? But at the same time, it's such, like, a representation of Amren actually caring, even though she's supposed to be, like, this tiny, like, feisty, scary thing, like, this creature locked in an immortal's body. But, like, it shows that she cares because she gave Feyre something that didn't even work. It just made her hope and believe that she'd be able to get out of that prison. And I liked that a lot, and I like Amren a lot. And yeah. Okay, so the next part that's a little more dark again, and, like, just a part that I appreciated was Feyre and Cassian talking because they're training and stuff, and you can tell, like, their friendship's growing stronger as well. And he's kind of, like, he, like, annoys her. I think this is the part where he, like, kind of pisses her off by asking something, but then he, like, apologizes, and he's just like, I'm sorry, I just wanted to know if you wanted to talk. Like, I care about you, you can talk to me. And so I like the friendship showing. They're, like, training, and she starts thinking about Tamlin, thinking about everything. And so she starts burning like she does when she gets, like, angry and afraid and all that stuff. And so she burns through the sparring pads and just, like, realizes she's, like, literally just punching Cassian's fist. And, so just, whatever, he's like, I'm fine. And then she's just standing there, and she was, like, crying before, and she just goes, I killed them. And it was just so sad, because it was, like, the first time she just admitted it, and, like, she thought about it, and she hated herself for killing them, but she finally just said, like, I killed them out loud. And then Rhys comes and, like, wraps around her and talks to her. Oh, what? Oh, I forgot to turn off the alarm. So, yeah, he wraps around her, and they are just so cute, and he's, like, helping her and saying, like, it's okay, you just need to live with it. Like, I've done things, too, that I didn't want to. Like, everything's gonna come together, and it's happening for a reason, and it's gonna be okay. I was like, okay, fine. The next thing that they do is they go to the summer court because they're gonna go steal the Book of Breathings from there. But basically, like, I don't know what's gonna happen with Tarquin. Like, I can't tell because he seemed like a likable person, and they got on his bad side by stealing the book, but, like, they were starting to get a friendship, and, like, Tarquin wanted to ally with Rhys. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I heard someone say that they don't like Tarquin in ACOWAR, but I'm just wondering, like, is he gonna redeem himself? Like, are they gonna end up being allies, or is Tarquin going to be on the other side and, like, not good? Tarquin, good or not good? Which leads to that lovely, wonderful quote that is also on many a fan art. So Rhys says, So yes, I was jealous of him, because it will always be easy for him, and he will never know what it is to look up at the night sky and wish. And I was just like, my poor Reese baby, like, don't worry, Feyre's gonna love you, it's okay. But then it goes and to the part where they're just, like, saying whatever, like, Feyre's thinking about everything, the Court of Dreams, and she goes, to the people who look at the stars and wish, Reese. And he's like, to the stars who listen and the dreams that are answered. And I was like, this is so lovely. So when they're in the summer court, ready to, like, get the book and leave, Amren and Feyre go to retrieve the Book of Breathings from that weird, like, thing in the water, I don't know. And it goes quite horribly, other than the fact that they did end up getting the book, which was, like, technically a good thing at the time. And so they're gonna, like, drown at this point. Like, the water's filling up, it's getting scary, it's getting, like, I'm gasping, I'm screaming, I'm shaking. And the water wraiths come in and, like, rip the door off and save them. And I was like, you know what? I'm not that surprised, but I'm also, like, really happy that this was a thing. And it happened, because then one of them says, our sister's debt is paid. And I was like, that was a really good way to incorporate it. Like, she gave the jewelry in the beginning, and then the water wraiths came and saved them when they were trying to not die in there. So, I don't know. I just liked how Sarah J. Maas, like, wrote that in. I really liked that a lot. And then even just, like, how Amren was kind of like, girl, you've got some crazy luck, like, thank the cauldron. And I was like, I love them. I love everyone. I love everything in the world. After that part, there's a part where Reese has his nightmare, and, like, it starts spreading throughout the townhouse, because it's just, like, I guess such a bad nightmare that, like, his darkness and everything is going. And so Feyre goes to him and wakes him up this time, and she's like, it's just a dream, it's just a dream. And then they have, like, the whole moment where, like, you know, they're just talking. It's like, thank you for waking me up, like, whatever. I don't know what to say. But then she gets that image of, like, a painting. And it's, like, either the first time or one of the first times that she's finally, like, getting images again. She's not just, like, having that empty void of just not wanting to do art. Like, she sees him and she sees his, like, wings and him being, like, naked on the bed. And she sees a painting. And I just really, really loved that. I thought that was amazing. I could not wait for her to, like, do her painting stuff again. And I really like the fan art that someone did for him, like, sitting naked on his bed. It was just really hot and really good. And I was like, I wish I could do art. Someone teach me how to do, like, graphic design art, because Lord knows I can't do that. On page 389, so they're back at Feyre's old house, and they're meeting with the queens, and they're being, like, really, I don't even know what to call it. Like, I almost wish that they noticed the queens were sketchy and not just, like, bitchy. But basically, after they're done being annoying, they all leave, and then Elaine just goes, I hope they all burn in hell. And I was like, this flowery girl is just like, I hope they all burn in hell. I just love that. I loved seeing more of Nesta and Elaine in this book and, like, what they're really like. So the next parts are two sexier parts, and that was right before they go to the Court of Nightmares and when they're in the Court of Nightmares, of course. So basically, they're flying, and Feyre, like, brushes against his wing or whatever, and then she's like, oh, like, that's so weird. It's, like, so smooth and cool, and I've never felt that before. The point is, she touched his wing, and he was like, that's sensitive. And I was like, so is my soul. My soul is sensitive. Thank you. Thank you for ruining my life. But yeah, basically, then they get to the Court of Nightmares, and she's, like, playing his kind of pet, which is sort of what she was playing under the mountain without knowing, because, like, yeah, that was how Reese showed his, like, bargain and stuff without showing that he cared about her. And so that part is just so steamy. Like, I was mad that it took, like, 400 pages to get to a part that was steamy, but at the same time, it was just so good. Like, there was so much angst and so much tension, because they're just playing, and, like, he's being so lovey still, like, without showing it, because they kind of have, like, their shield and bond thing that they're talking through, but also, like, when his hand was cold, he, like, turned it warm because he felt her flinch. I just love that, because, yeah, they were just, like, being sexy, but they were being lovey. And then, of course, he, like, protects her or whatever by getting really mad when Kier, I think that's his name, Kier calls her a whore, and so he, like, breaks his arm, and I was just like, chia boy. Alright, so the next part's going to be an Amren quote, because it was like, I think it was after Reese got mad at Feyre or something like that. Like, they were kind of fighting a little bit. Yeah, basically they're like talking about Starfall and leaving and all that. Yeah, so it's when Reese gets mad at her, or like upset because she kind of like hits a nerve by saying something. And so they're talking about Starfall. And Amren's like, when Reese came back after Amarantha, he was a ghost. He pretended he wasn't, but he was. You made him come alive again. Oh my god, my voice just cracked, but accurate representation. I just really love that, because I love when kind of like other people that are close with like the main characters talk about them in a way that's just like, you made him come alive again. So then Feyre says he thinks he'll be remembered as the villain in the story, and then like Amren just laughs. And she's like, but I forgot to tell him that the villain is usually the person who locks up the maiden and throws away the key. And Amren's just like, oh? And she's like, he was the one who let me out. This is too much in 2 pages, okay? Like, okay, so Starfall is a pretty memorable part. I doubt I have to talk that much about it, but I just loved it so much. They like made up while they were on the roof. Starfall, whatever. And then the stars like hit their face and they're glowing, and it's so adorable. And Feyre like paints for the first time, because she just draws something like on his hand, but she says to herself like, I just painted on him, and it's like significant. And then she smiles at him too, and he's like so happy, and he's like, smile again, and she just thinks about it. She's like, I'm just gonna wholeheartedly smile at this man. And she just smiles again, and he's like, you're exquisite. I was like, I just really loved Starfall, and like, I hecka want to make some art for that. Then we get to the part after Starfall where like they're talking again because, you know, they made up or whatever. And Rhysand tells a story of how like his and Tamlin's family ended up like killing each other. But basically he tells her that Tamlin went with his father and everything to kill Rhys's mother and sister. And Tamlin had never said anything about that, obviously because he's a piece of shit. But he never told her any of that because he just said that, like, Rhys's family killed his family, instead of saying, like, well, that might have been because we killed his family first. Yeah, no, I just, like, got really angry because I was like, Tamlin, what the hell? You never said any of this. Like, they literally just killed his mother and sister and apparently have, like, the wings as trophies. It was just really sad. And yeah, so Rhysand just explains that, and then they have, like, a whole moment because Feyre's like, I'm sorry, like, what the hell, I did not know that. So the next part, another little quote we got here, was when Feyre was finally, after like 450 pages, just owning her power and owning who she was and everything, and she says, the power did not belong to the High Lords, not any longer. It belonged to me, as I belonged only to me, as my future was mine to decide, to forge. Yes, I was pretty excited when she said that, and I just think it's a really good quote. It's really empowering. So then, after she's, like, owning her power, because I think they were just training at that point, Lucien comes to find them training and, like, retrieve Feyre, and she's like, no, I don't want to go back with you, like, don't touch me. And so, once again, I think she, like, figures out how to winnow kind of thing, because he goes to grab her, and she's like, nope, boy, you not gonna touch me. And yeah, I just like that she was powerful like she is, but also pretended to be darker, and it ended up shape-shifting and growing her wings out to be like, I'm part of the Night Court. I'm dark. I'm gonna kill you if you try to get me again. Like, this is shoot, shoot, shoot. That was, I didn't say that very convincingly, but I just loved it a lot. And watching other reviews, like, other people mention how, like, I wonder what she's gonna do. Like, is she ever gonna be able to fly herself with, like, wings since she can shapeshift? And I hope she can, because that'd be pretty darn fantastic. And then, of course, on page 463, Rhys was, like, holding her flying away or whatever, and he's just like, you look good with wings, and kissed her brow. And I was like... The next part was that they're at the inn, because that's where, like, they were flying to after they were done training. Y'all know the inn. And I like how, like, through there's things, like, in italics and stuff like that, it'll be Feyre thinking of what he said, like, I can't breathe when I look at you, let me touch you, because I was jealous and pissed off, she's mine, like, thinking through all the stuff he said before. I really like that. But I forgot to mention that one quote where, so they're cuddling or something already, and they're like, a thought for a thought, like they were doing before. And he says, I'm thinking that I look at you and feel like I'm dying, like I can't breathe. I'm thinking that I want you so badly I can't concentrate half the time I'm around you. And this room is too small for me to properly bed you, especially with the wings. I was like, ah! Like, it kind of made me think for a minute, like, oh no, are they not going to do something? But I was like, no, they're definitely still going to do something, they're just not going to be properly bed, you know? And then she says her part, and she's like, I'm thinking that I can't stop thinking about you, and then it's been that way for a long while, but then she, like, starts saying how she feels like a traitor, and it's just kind of, like, sad, but I just love that they did the thought for a thought thing throughout this book. It was real cute. So, yeah, then the next part is that really intense part where, like, they're flying again, and Rhys gets shot out of the sky with ash arrows, and then they chain him up with, like, those scary, like, blue handcuffs or whatever they are. And, you know, that was terrible. I hated Rhys being hurt, but, the fact that Feyre saved him, I just love that she is so badass and, like, powerful, because she just gets so angry. She's like, they did not just do that to my baby, and she takes the ash arrows that she can find and, like, makes, like, daggers or whatever out of them, and starts winnowing and just slashing all their throats and killing them, and then saves them. And, yeah, so she saves him, takes him to that little, like, cave thing, because that's, like, as far as she could winnow with him, and all of that was just amazing. But then there's the whole part where she's describing, like, what she was painting just so that she could cut the arrows out of his wings, because they left them there. And so she's talking about it. She says she painted, like, flames and flowers and all that, and he's like, what did you paint on yours? And she says that she painted the night sky, and she's like, I think this whole time I was just looking for you. And they have that whole cute moment, but then we find out later in the book that it was more than just that. It was like Rhys sent her that thought so that she would paint it, and, like, now he knows that she did get that thought a long time ago, where she painted the stars on her drawer. And I was like, I love this. And then, of course, she catches the Suriel again, and I just love that, like, she does, because Rhys even says in the beginning of the book how, like, he's never caught a Suriel, and he's, like, the most powerful High Lord. So I was like, obviously, like, you need to be smart too, but, like, he's the most powerful and never caught a Suriel. So clearly Feyre's, like, really good at what she does, like, her hunting and all that kind of stuff. But then I just like that it kind of ends up being that maybe she didn't necessarily have to, like, catch the Suriel, and it was more just like he got caught so that he would talk to her or something, because it's more of, like, an acquaintance. Like, when she lets him go, like, he's definitely not about to kill her or anything, and I just really like that. And, like, obviously she finds out they're mates, and that's kind of dramatic and, like, whatever, but the Suriel was fully just helping her and, like, talking, like, answering her questions, and I just really like that, because last time she kind of saved the Suriel by letting it go first, before the Ators could get it, and then, or the Bogs, was it? I don't know. Something was gonna get it. Bogies? Whatever. I don't know. My point is, I really liked the Suriel and Feyre's interactions, and then she learns that they're mates, and then shit goes down. I'm glad that things happened the way they were, but, like, also it was pretty dramatic for Feyre to be so mad about them being mates and not knowing, because, like, Rhys didn't want to just be like, hey, dude, we're mates. Like, there needed to be a time and place, you know? There's a time and a place. And, yeah, she just got so mad. But then she goes to the cottage, and she paints it, and so I'm so happy that she's finally painting the cottage and just painting again. And she's painting, like, all the people of the inner circle, or all, whatever. She's painting everyone in the inner circle. She paints, like, the eyes above it, and I just love that. And then Rhys shows up at the door, finally, after way too long, in my opinion. And they just start talking, and Feyre, like, offers him food without knowing that's, like, accepting the bond of being mates. And he's just like, you want to give me food? And she's just like, well, let's talk this through, we'll see. And so he tells her the thing that he said was the one last story he needed to tell her. And I'm just like, I'm not prepared. This story was, like, 4 pages long, and it was the most glorious thing I've ever read. Like, it was heartbreaking and awful, but at the same time, it was just so beautiful, because he was talking about finding out they were mates, and, like, seeing her in his dreams, and just all this stuff, and I just loved it so much. Oh my god. It was just amazing. So then, after the whole story, Feyre's like, okay, so thank you for telling me, I love you, eat my food. Because also he says that, like, he knows he's in love with her, so she's just like, you're in love with me? He's like, yes, or nods or whatever, and so then she's like, then eat this, and, like, gives him food. So, yeah, she accepts the bond, and then they, like, have sexy times, like, mating bond sexy times, and I just love it so much because the entirety of chapter 55 is just amazing. And, like, I was looking through fan art one time, and the art was literally just like, I survived chapter 55, and I was like, me. That is me in a singular sentence. Just like, I did not think I would survive. So yeah, you all know chapter 55, the cottage, just some good stuff. And then the part where, like, Cassian purposely pisses off Reese so they could fight, so that, like, Reese wouldn't be so pent up, because apparently it's, like, a thing that, like, you don't want any girl, like, looking at your woman, thinking about your woman, whatever, after, like, you mate and accept the bond. So then they fight it out just to, you know, help him, and I really like their friendship a lot. Oh yeah, so then they meet with the queens again after fighting, because that's pretty much why he needed to get out his pent-up anger. So they're showing Valeris and all this stuff, which is, like, really upsetting, honestly, because obviously after there's, like, the attack on Valeris. But, like, the reality is that they might not have had to show the queens that, because in the end the Gold Queen secretly leaves the book behind. So, like, maybe if they didn't show Valeris, she still would have left it, and that's just, like, really sad, because whatever. But basically, I really like that. I thought it was, like, it made sense, but it was really sad that the queen died, like, that they tortured her or whatever and then, like, killed her, because she was, like, the good one out of all the queens. But I just really like that. I really like that there was something good out of, like, those awful queens, and then, like, yeah, she just believed them. She's like, I want peace too, leaves the book behind, whatever, and then she ends up dying for them, so yeah, basically, I really liked the Golden Queen. Yeah, so then after that, of course, there's the invasion on Valeris, because they showed the Queens of Valeris, and I love where Feyre ends up defending it, because, like, Cassian and whoever kept telling her, like, go back to the townhouse, like, whatever, and she ends up seeing, like, the rainbows being attacked, and she's like, no, I can't go back, like, I can't leave this, I want to defend them, and if I die, at least I'm dying for these people. So then she goes, and she sees, like, a bunch of people circling the one girl who's, like, holding up a pipe and all that, and she gets her water wolves. That was, like, the most amazing part. I've said that, like, 5 times, but it was just so great. I loved that she got the water wolves to come out of the water. Holy cow, I feel like I've been talking for 42 years, but it was just so good. I loved the water wolves so much, and they came and, like, killed everyone because they, like, drowned them because they're water. And then whoever wasn't drowning from the water wolves, or, like, the water eagles, and all the stuff she was making out of water, which was so just fantastic. She, like, reached up and was like, ha, and, like, froze them, and they just fell to the ground and just, like, shattered because they were ice. And I love that a lot. So she saved a lot of people, even though some people still, like, died or whatever it was. She saved a lot of people from the rainbow. And after that, she kills the Ator. And obviously, I didn't like that she was blocking out Reese when he was, like, calling to her, but I really liked that it proved she could block out, like, anyone, even, like, the best people at being a Daemati. So I just really liked that she could do it. And she kills the Ator in, like, a really cruel way, because he's done so much, like, bad stuff, and she's like, this is for Claire, this is for Reese, this is for me, and just, like, kills him. And I love that. That was a very redeeming, amazing thing. So after she does, like, save a lot of people from the rainbow and from Valeris and everything, kills the Ator, Reese comes and, like, they just hug and they're crying, or she's crying, and it's just really emotional. But he, like, holds her and he's like, Feyre Cursebreaker, the defender of the rainbow. And I was like, oh my gosh, my heart. And I just love that so much. Like, it sounds so perfect to be, like, Feyre's kind of, like, name or whatever. Feyre Cursebreaker, the defender of the rainbow. I love that, and I love them so much. So, to talk about the ring, like I said I would. Oh yeah, okay, so page 578, Reese explains, like, why she got the ring, and basically, like, he gives her the ring, and is like, if you want to, like, get married or whatever, I don't know, they're, like, just talking about that, and she's like, your mother's ring? She's like, my mother gave it to the weaver. And then she told me that if I were to marry or mate, then the female would either have to be smart or strong enough to get it back. And if the female wasn't either of those things, then she wouldn't survive the marriage. I promised my mother that any potential bride or mate would have the test, and so it sat there for centuries. And I just love that so much because he, like, explains it, and so then it just means that Feyre's his, like, perfect match, and obviously, like, they're mates, but, like, they accept it and they want to, like, get married, and I just loved it so much because Feyre's just so badass. Like, I can't get over how badass she is. And now I'm going to try to talk about the ending in, like, 3 minutes because, I don't know, I want to talk about it and, like, yell and be so mad, but at the same time, like, it's such a memorable ending that I feel like all of you just, like, remember it anyway, and, like, I just remember it so much that I just want to, like, quickly go over it and not, like, ramble about it for a long time. So basically, at the end, what I wrote was, Nesta and Elaine become immortal. I hated that fucking Tamlin and Ianthe, like, sold them out to Hybern just for, like, getting their own shit, like, getting Feyre back, and for Ianthe to just, like, be the bitch she is. But I kind of did like Nesta and Elaine becoming immortal because they would have just gotten old and died, but now instead they're immortal as well, so, like, they can be with, like, their mates or their whoever, and they can live with Feyre because Feyre would be immortal while, like, her family died after, like, the smallest amount of time in her immortal life. Whatever. I liked that it happened, but I was mad. And so, yeah, Tamlin, Ianthe, and the queens being, like, on the King of Hybern's side just for their own good. I was like, what are you doing? Like, do you really not give a single shit about anyone else? Like, the entirety of Prythian and the mortal world. Like, do you really not care about any of them? I was just so mad. I was like, holy cow. And, like, the queens are mortal, technically, like, before they're supposed to become immortal or something like that. So I was like, why do you not care? You're the queens. Like, you're really just trying to let the king, like, destroy everything. Stupid motherfuckers. And yeah, so then Feyre pretends to get out of Rhys's, like, control by glowing and becoming, like, this big bright light, and then she breaks the wards, which is, like, amazing because they're supposed to have, like, this spell on their power, but she still, like, breaks through it, glows, breaks the wards so that they can get out, and then pretends to be out of his control. And that part's really sad, but it's, like, also really good because she's so good now at, like, acting and being this badass spy and, like, all this stuff. She's just such a bad bitch. I love her. But yeah, it was sad because at first I wasn't really sure, like, when she said to break the mating bond, I thought it was, like, actually gonna happen, and it was pretty sad. But then the king, like, didn't know the difference between, like, the mating bond being so deep and the bargain bond they made under the mountain, so he ends up just breaking the bargain bond. But he ends up breaking the bargain bond, and I just, yeah, I thought that was really, like, a good thing because I hope that they get maybe another bond back to, like, make their mating bond stronger, like how the bargain did, but I'm glad that he couldn't break the mating bond, you know? I liked that the king couldn't break their mating bond, because, like, even at the very end, Amren's like, what the hell, like, he can't break it, and Rhysand's like, I know, he didn't break it, he just broke the bargain, and I was like, thank the heaven above. Yeah, that was just really good. She's gonna go back to the Spring Court, pretend to, like, love Tamlin and be, like, out of Rhys's control, and just be a spy there. And all this amazing stuff is being set up to be in ACOWAR. And yeah, I don't know. This video is super long. I hope I can edit it down to like 25 minutes. But yeah, I hope I can edit it down. So I'm really happy I'm done reviewing this. I want to go read ACOWAR. I'm so ready to read ACOWAR. And I hope that I can make a review for that, hopefully less long than this one. I think I put too many of my points in here. I should have just talked about, like, stuff off the top of my head or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'm happy I did this. It's my first review. I tried. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, whatever you want. But also add me on Goodreads because, you know, I keep pretty updated on there. I try to do reviews, you know, as much as I can. Yeah, so like, subscribe, Goodreads. I have a Twitter too. I'd love if you followed it because I kind of just talk to myself like all day on that Twitter. It's @LilsPaperWorld. And yeah, all my stuff's linked down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! I'm a doop 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 doop. Of the head. Oh, I need to learn to talk. She's his salvation. I just love it all. I love it. I love it. I just want to marry this book. Like, I want to take this book and marry it. I'm just, like, saying my own words. I'm not even reading. Their sister's debt was paid, boy. It's getting spicy. I'm gonna burp. Excuse me. It's getting crazy. Oh. I'm on the wrong page, so I'm not gonna be able to tell you if I'm on the wrong page. Nope. I can't talk still. Okay. Oh my god. That's terrifying. Now that I'm feeling... Why does the phone keep ringing? Holy cow. Holy cow. It's the longest video ever.